everybody? How's everybody doing? Before we get started, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share, and also hit that post notification bell so you can get notified whenever I upload a video. It's always sports related, NFL, NBA, sometimes college football. If any of that sounds good to you, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share. And let's get started with today's video. Ladies and gentlemen, we had a lot of blowouts this week, and we had a game that words cannot describe how bad it was. We'll get into that game right after this in a little bit. But I just want to let y'all know that I said before this season started, the last video I put out before this one was about the Cleveland Browns. And I said that the Cleveland Browns are the most unpredictable team in the NFL. Not the dark horse in the NFL. Not the dark horse. That's more like the Lions. I would have said Miami, but what I've been seeing lately, they might not be a dark horse anymore, excuse me. However, the Cleveland Browns are still the most unpredictable team in the NFL, but they have shown great improvement from last season. And one of those things is with their defense. They arguably have the best defense in the NFL right now. They arguably have the best defense in the NFL right now. I love to hire a defensive coordinator. I'm so glad that they fired their old defensive coordinator who was wasting the potential this defense had, and they're reaching their full potential right now. Not only that, not only is the defense clicking, but Deshaun Watson is clicking and peaking at the right time as of now. Now, I'm not going to go out and say the Browns are a dark horse team. I'm not going to go out and say the Browns are going to the Super Bowl for sure. I'm not going to do any of that, none of that. However, I will say that the Browns have showed up. Deshaun Watson stepped up, and Deshaun Watson made some big plays against the Titans. He looked like the much better and different quarterback than he did last week against Pittsburgh. He was so much better this week. His escape ability is amazing. The way he throws sideline passes was good last week, but it was definitely great this week as well. Also, the way he's able to make plays out of nothing is great as well. He might make a couple of bad decisions here and there, but overall, Deshaun Watson really had a great game. The Browns had a great game, and I just hope that they continue this momentum. I really do, because this Browns team, like I said, could go to the Super Bowl and could win it on paper. It's just that it has to translate to the field. And at first, it did with Cincinnati, and didn't with Pittsburgh, and now this team looked fully complete. In the first half, I was worried about Deshaun, but he came out the second half, and he looked like he was all business. So let's hope that the Browns can continue this, and let's hope that we see the Browns in the postseason, because this team will be fun in the postseason. They could be a possible spoiler for a lot of teams in the playoffs this upcoming season. Moving on to the next subject, from one blowout that was great for one team to another blowout that has completely ended the team season, and that's the Denver Broncos versus the Miami Dolphins. Tua Tagovailoa went 23 for 26, 89% completion, 309 passing yards, 4 touchdowns. Devon, one of their running backs, had 233 scrimmage yards, 4 total TDs, 2 rushing, 2 receiving. Not only that, but Mostert looked like he did against the Packers in the 2020 NFC Championship game. 142 scrimmage yards, 4 total TDs, 3 rushing, 1 reception. Tyreek Hill had 9 receptions, 157 total yards, 1 touchdown. That was a really great game for the Miami Dolphins. But guess what? Guess what? That's not the best part yet. They had a total of 726 total yards. But guess what? They scored 70 points. 726 total yards. And they managed to score 70 points. 10 touchdowns. They scored 10 touchdowns on the Denver Broncos' head. They have completely dismantled. They have completely ended the Denver Broncos season, the Denver Broncos team. They should resign from being an NFL team. They should give their spot to Alabama, Georgia, somebody in college football, because they would do a much better job at this point than the Denver Broncos did. It was like a junior varsity middle school team out there versus an NFL team. It was that bad. It was that bad. And this is going to be by far the best game that Miami has this year. This will be by far the best, because they're not going to replicate this again. They're going to have some more great wins, but this game by far is the best win that they could possibly have, unless they win the Super Bowl. But Tua had some good no-look passes. He did it not once, but twice. And they got ran all over. Tyreek Hill ran all over them. Jalen Waddle wasn't even there to waddle away. And so, if he was there, probably would have been much worse. And on top of that, the Dolphins felt so bad for Denver that they took a knee instead of kicking the field goal, going for the record for the most points scored in NFL history. I would have went for the record. I would have broke the record if it was me. But you know what? They didn't do that because they felt so bad for the Denver Broncos. But you look at the Denver Broncos side of things here, and this is really disappointing as a Broncos fans, I think. And this is a disappointment from Sean Payton, and I know for the front office as well. Russell Wilson should not be blamed for this. Russell Wilson played well. It was a few calls that they totally messed up, and then it was some of his players fumbled as well on offense. So I wouldn't put this loss on Russell Wilson. Although Wilson was not the problem, he's not the answer either. And I think no one a part of the current roster of the Broncos or coaching staff or front office, honestly, is a part of the answer. They made too many mistakes, and this is an uninspired team. You just don't let someone score 70 on you. First of all, they need to fire their defensive coordinator. It's no coming back from this for the Broncos. There's no coming back for this from him or the team as a whole. They're not inspired by the coaches. They're not inspired by Russell Wilson. And this is just a big pile of doggy doo-doo. This team is just bad. This team is just really, really bad. And I honestly don't know what else to say. I just think that they should tank. They should go for the number 1 pick, draft Caleb Williams, but seeing how bad that the Denver Broncos are or the other possible teams that could possibly pick him with the number 1 pick, I think Caleb Williams might stay at another year in college, if we're being completely honest. If I was him, I would as well, because I don't want anything to deal with the Denver Broncos. And plus, he might have to go out and play defense and offense for the Denver Broncos because they need the defense as well. Russell Wilson is finally looking good, but of course it doesn't matter because the team is just completely unsavable, unfixable at this point. And the defense, which saved them last year, which was the bright spot about this team, is absolutely horrible and should be ranked the 33rd worst defense in the league at this point. I mean, I'm being honest. The 65th. I think the practice squad defenses are better than the Broncos at this point. But like I said, it's no coming back from this for the Broncos. They need to figure out what they're going to do moving forward. And it's only week 3, and they're already written off. Like I said, I have nothing else to say, y'all. I really don't. So we're moving on. We're moving on from them to the Buffalo Bills. After a disastrous week 1 against the Jets, the Buffalo Bills have looked pretty good. They blew out and completely decimated the Raiders 38-10, and they went out there and they embarrassed the Commanders 37-3. And the Commanders looked like a really good team last week with their comeback, of course, against the Denver Broncos. Their quarterback, Sam Howell, looked really good, and he looked absolutely horrendous this past Sunday. Now, the Denver Broncos and the Miami Dolphins is going to be one of the best games, I believe, of this season. And I cannot wait to see those two offenses go head-to-head. And I was one of those people who have written off Buffalo. I'm one of those people who said they missed their moment. Last year was their moment. The year before that was their moment. And I still kind of feel that way. However, they could still possibly win the AFC. I thought after the Jets, their window closed, but they proved the past 2 weeks that, hey, we're still here. Hey, we're still a contender in the NFL. I don't trust this team, no, however. I really don't trust them. I don't trust them in the big moments when it matters the most. That's when this team disappears. They proved it time after time after time after time. And I don't trust Josh Allen as well. Josh Allen is by far their best player. However, he has to do too much for the team, and he ends up having turnovers. Not only is he their biggest asset, but he's also their biggest weakness because of how he turned over the ball. Like I said, Buffalo looks really good right now. Them versus Miami is going to be arguably game of the year. However, at the end of the day, I don't trust Buffalo. I don't trust Josh Allen at all, but we'll see if they prove me wrong. I want them to prove me wrong. I want them to make it to the Super Bowl. I want to see them to win the Super Bowl. But as we stand today, I think the team that will make it out of the AFC is the Miami Dolphins. This team looks really good. This team is really fun to watch. And it's going to be tough beating them down the stretch as long as they stay healthy. You let me know who you think is going to make it to the Super Bowl. You let me know what you think about the Cleveland Browns, the Buffalo Bills, the Miami Dolphins, and the terrible Denver Broncos. This is Stephen Connor signing off. Until next time, remember, I love you, God loves you. Y'all, we haven't seen a butt whooping like that since Reagan blew out Jimmy Carter, y'all. That's what that Denver Broncos and Miami Dolphins game honestly was like. Stephen Connor out, y'all. Peace.